Well, thank you, Tina, for your time.
Thank you so
and
much.
For being here. I would like to start, obviously, talking about reality. My first question is just if you could please take us through the whole journey from the moment when you first had contact with her story, then you took it to theater for Is This a Room? And then it became a film. How was this whole sort of process and until the point when you realized I can and I will make a film about this?
Yeah, so the film is set on June 3rd, 2017, which is like the day that reality is visited by the FBI, and then that night she's arrested and in real life. And so then she was kind of in the news that summer 2017 in the US, but it was never actually a huge news story. And her name is so strange in English, like Reality Winner is just a funny name. And I think like I thought this and other people that somehow her story was related to reality TV. Like, so people didn't really pay attention, including myself. And then I just happened to be reading online on New York Magazine in December 2017. I was just like looking for like culture stories just to kill time. And there was a story about Reality Winner. The headline was America's biggest terrorist has a Pikachu bedspread. And I was like, what is this story? And it was a story on Reality Winner, and it had more pictures of her from her life and all these great details. And I was like, wow, that's that young woman with the crazy name. She's really fascinating. Like this is really fascinating in the United States right now that this young person did this. And I was starting to get really intrigued. And in that still just free reading, like, wow, good thing I learned more about her. And that had a link. It said, read about the day Reality was visited at her home by the FBI. So I just clicked that link because I'm still just free reading and really caught up in this. And that took you to the transcript that the FBI had recorded.
So the whole thing.
Yes. You went to Politico.com and I just couldn't forget it. It was like a badly scanned, like badly photocopied. It was the actual sort of paper was on this PDF. And it looked like a play, the first page. And I'd been making lots of plays at that point. And like instead of characters, it literally listed participants. And then it said Reality, Agent Garrick, Agent Taylor. And the fourth participant was unknown male. And I was like, what is this document? Like with unknown male on it. And then just started reading it. And I was like clicking through it. It was like a page turner to me. I was like, there was something about even the first page where she's like, hi, hello. I could feel the tension because I read it knowing she gets caught, right?
Yeah.
Like at that point she's literally in prison, but I'm like, when did they get her? Oh my God, she's still saying, evading them. And then it would turn to some weird discussion about cats. And I was like, this is crazy. Like what is going on in this document? And I just found it so mesmerizing. And I finished it and I was like, this feels like a play and it feels like a movie. Like this is my kind of thriller. Like a girl in jean shorts goes head to head with these armed dudes in her house. And I had not made a movie, but I was, very seriously making theater at that point and had always been intrigued, by film and TV, but would always be really busy with my theater projects. And so it just was this instinct that even that first read, I was like, this is somehow a movie I could make. But I started on it as a play. I already had a play commission. I was already at work on another play I was writing at a theater in New York City. But I went to them and I was like, actually, I want to switch. I want to try to stage this transcript as a play. And they were like, great. So I immediately like dove into making it as a play and like trying to be like, is there something to this transcript? And so spent a year on that. And that play first premiered in New York City in January 2019. At this small downtown space called the Kitchen in Chelsea, New York. And the play was really well received. And so the play just took on a life of its own for a couple of years. It moved to an off-Broadway venue and we toured it around the world a little bit. And we're set to tour it more and it was going to go to Broadway. And then the pandemic happened. Yeah. And New York, I was living in Brooklyn and New York was suddenly like, literally we were locked down and everything. And all this touring for the play Is This a Room got canceled eventually. And so I was like, I'm going to start writing the screenplay, which had been in my head waiting to do for, I guess, almost 2 3 years at that point, 2 years. And so that is what I did in the first couple months of lockdown. I wrote the screenplay.
Look, you've had a good career. I don't think you're a big bad master spy. I think you just messed up. I think you might have been angry about what's going on.
The Russians attacked our democracy, and the
election took
President campaign participated in it.
They didn't attack.
Reality. Were you surprised to see us today?
We are concerned with the leak.
Insider threat.
This is my partner. What partner? Wally Taylor. Hey, how are you? We have a search warrant for your house.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Would you like to see it?
Yes, please. 125 pounds, you guys. Flatter me. Sorry, I have a sense of humor.
That was on your driver's license.
That's right.
Okay, well, I lied.
Don't we all?
Reality. What if I said that you printed out classified information? That document has made its way outside of NSA. And the most likely candidate is you.
I think you know a lot more than what you're telling us at this point.
I'm trying to deploy. I'm not trying to be a whistleblower. That's crazy.
Now, why I'm here is to figure out the why behind this.
Look, I'm here.
Reality.
Reality. Reality. Reality. Reality. Was there something that just pushed you over the edge on this?
The focus you take in the story, you share it in a way that it's so real, it's so human, and you show also all the effects this had in her life. Besides, the political view, besides the effects on other aspects, it was mostly personal, mostly like her life. What was the specific, or if you had one, goal on reactions and which effects or what in the public that you thought would come and see the film?
Yeah, I think I did want to make it personal. I did want to feel like that a viewer was kind of with reality as you move through that. Like, what did this feel like her on this totally unusual day that suddenly unfolded for her? Like, it felt like this sort of coming of age happens in this one afternoon. So I was really interested in being close to that. I think in terms of what I wanted it to provoke or not was we had this document. We had this thing that literally took us into a small room in a small house on a sunny day in June 2017, which was a really specific moment in the United States. And we could actually see like the government at work with this like civilian, and not only a civilian, but a 25-year-old girl in jean shorts, like just this really unusual person to be at the center of a geopolitical scandal. And since we had this document that was the recording of that, I really wanted to just stick as close to that dialogue, like really be like, this was the first word said that day, this was the last, all these words in between are what happened in that order, and present the integrity of like, this is what was said, and this is the young woman that was there, these are the versions of the two men that were there, and let people sort of see, of course, my version of that, but like really sticking to that transcript so that it was sort of in a certain way as straightforward as possible. Since to me, it felt like this kind of really fascinating and dark gift that they had recorded that interview when we had that transcript. Because it was such an interesting and still is such a loaded time in the United States and politically right then. It really was. And the thing that she was being accused of leaking, which showed the proof of Russian interference in our election, was such a debated thing. And so we sort of could do a part of that story that also was a character study of a young American at that moment, and also address something really political. And without trying to comment too much on it, felt strong to just use the transcript.
There was some question that I had at the end of the
Yeah.
film when I watched it. I was like, given the opportunity, if I was in her position with the level of access to information, and you can avoid to think after we're also exposed to
Yeah.
fake news,
Yeah.
corruption,
Yeah.
and how easy or how difficult you think it will be for whoever else who is in that position to feel tipped to leak information, because we all feel from time to time very angry perhaps about these things that we all are affected by in wherever we are in the world. We have it differently in every corner.
Yeah, I think that I really, really related to what reality did. I was angry a lot of the times in the US myself and feeling like we had no control and we were being lied to, or it feels like we're probably being lied to, and everything is shifting and what is a fact, and it felt really insane making and different news sources. And then I was like, if I was sitting in a cubicle and saw something, I was like, I can see that and I can send it here. I really related to that. It felt like a thing you might do with your anger and confusion as an average American in that moment. It felt very doable. And that's what I really related to about reality. There was some anger and idealism that it wasn't really seeming like that crazy. I mean, of course it was, because it was going to break all these rules because of her clearance and what she happened to be accessing. Mm-hmm. But I found it very human and very relatable in that moment, what she did.
Yeah. From this experience of this is your first feature, what has been the most gratifying thing of this experience?
The people I made it with, like getting to have these amazing new collaborators, from the actors to the crew to the producers, like that's what's so amazing about making stuff, when you're not just like a painter alone in your room, is like it takes these incredible people to get a vision made and people believing in your vision and then working so hard together to do it. And it just was incredibly gratifying to have people come along in this vision, especially something, it was kind of crazy to do this transcript, and it was going to be these really small locations, and it was, there was things about it that made it sort of an unusual feature, and I was a first-time director, but everyone came on board, and we wanted to do it like as excellently as possible. And then, these actors that came on board, Sydney, who was just incredible, and like I was learning from every time she was in front of the camera, and Josh Hamilton, who was just really great and was also a stage actor from, my world of New York a bit, and Marchant. They were just incredible and so all in on this project, and that you kind of can't believe people are going along for the ride of it. So that was really the most gratifying. And now having it being in the world and people responding to it is also incredibly gratifying. But yeah.
At some point I felt, when I'm sitting there in my seat in the cinema, I'm sweating, I'm choking. When the blur, the disappearing of the characters, the snail, all these elements, how do you come up with them?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it's a tight landscape, right, that we're going to be in. It's just essentially a long form conversation, the transcript, right? And it happens at her house, and then a third of it happens in that room. And so I was interested in what does this sort of feel like for her. So that, drove some of those choices, this, that she might focus in a moment of internal trauma, on the snail. I had written that she looks at some insect really closely. So a lot of those were tracking to trying to make it us close to what reality was feeling as she was going through it. And the disappearance stuff was tracking the redactions that are actually on the page in the transcript, when you come to the black bar, which takes away the word, you come along and you're reading and then suddenly words are gone, which just is so wild to come. The first time I came to it cold reading the transcript, I was like, wait, why can't I read that? And it's this implicit power, someone unseen has control and is deciding things. And so it was a fun and hard experiment in the edit of how we were going to, solve the redactions. So it was sort of, what is the language of this film, and can we do something a little bit surreal with literally taking Sydney out of the frame in that first experiment. So because I wanted the movie to just hold some of that slight strangeness of the day. So I was just, I don't know, again, usually trying to think what would it feel like for reality in my imagination, and drove a lot of those choices.
Will there be any more film projects?
Yes.
Coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested in a range of things. The next, I don't know when this will happen, but I've started work on a new project with the reality producers that is, it's going to be fictionalized, but it is based on a true story that happened in the small town I grew up in New Hampshire in the United States. So I'm interested in doing a range of things, but it turns out I'm a little bit interested in these real stories that have a kind of strangeness, and this one also has a really cool and unexpected female, young female protagonist, and I definitely like those kind of stories.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully you will
Yeah.
come back to Stockholm to
Me,
present that
yeah, I
film.
would love to. I'd really like to come. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you very
It's been
much.
such a pleasure to
Yeah,
talk to you.
it's lovely to talk to you.
And what's the thing with the cats? Do you like cats, or was it just the realities?
I like cats, but she loved cats. Yeah. So there was, of course, her kitty, but then I don't know why, once I realized we were going to be casting real cats, I was like, because wait, now I'm trying to, I know. I don't think there was going to be a second cat. So this is what, that was going to be, I had written into the screenplay that a car drives by with the Confederate flag, because that's, in the US, was really a loaded symbol, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Confederate flag, and that started coming back, in Trump, but then with the budget, we had to, we couldn't have a car just drive by. So I was like, I know, I have a great idea, a toy car with a Confederate thing, because that's even weirder. And then I was like, but I think we need a cat. I was thinking, what if another cat is in it? I can't believe they let me do that, actually, because it's so expensive and our budget was so teeny. The animals is a real thing, as you probably know. But so somehow I was like, when the second time we see that car, there's a cat in it. So reality is is there? Yeah. So it's just,
With that, for that moment, you're like, what's real, what's not? It's
Yeah.
a joke. It is what she's going through. If I was there, I'd be like, this is a joke.
Yeah. Again, and in the edit too, there was all this conversation, should there be a meow, and then that makes her look, and I'm like, no. She just feels the cat and looks. It's not like sound takes her over there. I just want her to see this weird cat. Yeah, I forgot there's that kitty.
Yeah, I love it. I love cats. I'm also
Yeah.
super crazy cat.
Oh my
lady.
god! And so her real kitty was a black cat, but we had a hard time getting animal casting was a whole hilarious thing.
Yeah.
But so then the white cat was really, but that's a star cat.
Uh-huh.
That cat's been on Saturday Night Live for 18 years.
Okay. Wow.
Its owner was it was so funny. It was so funny. Really old, that cat. They kept being like, this cat can't run. We're like, that's great. We don't need it.
Just make it stay there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Love it. Love those cats.
Yeah.